Welcome or welcome back to the Lockwood Chronicles. My name is Larissa, and today we are going over the 7 books that I read in July. And also we have to rep the Harry Potter shirt because Harry Potter was born in July. I am a Ravenclaw. Comment below what your Hogwarts house is, if that interests you. I read 7 books in July. I'm hoping I can remember anything about any of them. Because I feel like I read these so long ago. July was just really, really busy. If you were checking out my vlogs and stuff and just keeping up with my life. Lots of playtime. Yeah. Just being outside, enjoying the weather, especially since it's been raining here in Minnesota quite a bit. So just want to take advantage of all the sunny days. I'm surprised that I got to 7 books, honestly. Now let's go over some books. But let's do the stats first. I'm looking at my nice little notebook here. I read 7 books. And I read the pages, the page numbers, the page count, if you will, was 2,794. And the average rating of the month, you just keep getting lower and lower. I have an ice pack strapped to the back of my camera because it will overheat because I'm a yapper. We'll just continue to deal with that as it goes on. My average rating for the month was 3.61. A likable month. We liked books that we read. So the first book that I read was on my Kindle, and that was In Your Dreams, Holden Roads. This is by Stephanie Archer, and it's part of the Queen's Cove series. It's the 3rd book. I just feel like these books are a little bit too long for what they need to accomplish. Also, I don't remember our protagonist. Well, I remember Holden, obviously, but I don't remember our FMC's name. I was really, really annoyed with her because she would bring up that she was an interior designer and how much she loved interior design way too much. Sometimes it was like out of pocket, and then we weren't really ever shown too much about why she liked it or the projects that it was just like told, not really shown. But it was cute, it was funny. I really like Holden. I think he's quiet. He has his own things that he's working through. I really liked the relationship. He's very much like an acts of service type of guy. Yeah, just a cutie pie. Palette cleanser summary read. Not recommend it, but I wouldn't like go out of my way to recommend this series of hers. The next book is a 5-star. And I think the reason it's a 5-star is because I listened to it. And that is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, narrated by Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep was born to narrate this book. Meryl Streep is born to do a lot of things, but one of them was to narrate Tom Lake. She was perfection for this audiobook. She made the whole thing. I think without her narrating, it would have been probably like a 4.5 or so. I really enjoyed this story. It is about this mother. Okay, so first of all, it is the pandemic. Everybody's in isolation right now. That's not the main focus of it, okay? So if you're getting flashbacks, no. They're just in lockdown. This mom and her 3 daughters and her husband are all on the cherry farm in Michigan, and this mother is retelling her story of Tom Lake, which is a theater play production that she was in that she did a really good job in. I forget what the play is, but the Tom Lake is the town that she was in Michigan, where she dated this really famous actor. Yeah, it's just kind of relaying her life story from how she became an actress to where she is now. Her time dating that guy, as well as just finding herself and all of that stuff. And it was beautiful. Perfection. Loved this book. I would highly recommend listening to the audiobook. It was amazing. Meryl Streep, I will listen. I need to look up if she narrates other books because honestly, fantastic. She is iconic. I love Meryl Streep. Leather and Lark, which is the 2nd book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. And this is going over Lark and then Rowan? Lachlan. Rowan is the first brother. That's right. Lachlan and Lark. Lachlan is a hired hitman and Lark is a indie musician, but she also has some other side things that she loves to craft. She loves crafting. She has a whole craft room in her nice apartment warehouse thing. I liked it, first of all. However, I wish we would have... It was just missing something for me. I did a whole reading vlog on this if you want to check that out for a little bit more in depth, obviously with no spoilers. But Butcher and Blackbird was so fantastic for me. It was exciting. It just moved along a lot better. Whereas this one felt like it was missing that added element to it like Butcher and Blackbird had. I just wish we would have got more of the plotting and scheming as well as like their individual selves a little bit more. It was good. It was fine. It just wasn't what I was wanting it to be. I still love this series, and I can't wait to read the final book in this trilogy, which is The Third Brother. Alright, I had to strap the ice pack back on, so let's raise you up because you're already overheating. Alright, so the next book that I read was The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This one is a camp setting. It is set in like 1970s as well as like 1950s, 60s, so kind of in that 20-year period. We get to solve 2 children disappearances, everything about them, and like the family dynamics and what brought everything on. I really did enjoy this one a lot, actually. I really like the settings. There are a lot of characters to it, but because I did write a character list, that helped out to follow who was who, like the character and what they were to that the camp or the family or whatever, which was very, very helpful. I definitely recommend that because it is a non-linear timeline as well. It does like mark what time period you're in and who is speaking, but that little extra goes a long way with that. It was fun. It was a fun summer camp read. It wasn't like scary. It was more of like what happened. Like there was nothing really super spooky scary about it. So if you're a scaredy cat like me, it was fine. We lift up once again. We're just going to lift up between every book. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hard Castle by Stuart Turton. And they pronounce Evelyn on the audiobook, so I listened and read this one. This was for one of my book clubs, and I really, really liked it a lot. You are solving a murder. I went into this knowing absolutely nothing, and I think that's how you should go into it, but there's a character list at the beginning of the physical book. Pay attention to it and flip back to it or take a picture of it so you can reference it if you're trying to figure out who did it and what was going on. I wish I would have like taken a picture of the character list prior to starting the Kindle, because I checked it out from my library via Libby, so I got it on my Kindle and then also got the audiobook off Libby as well. I'm really glad I went into it so blind, because it made it that much more fun. I had no idea what was going on and I could not figure out what was happening. So you start off with this guy with amnesia and he hears a gunshot and this girl screams and he thinks that somebody is murdered. He goes back to this, and then this spooky creature thing puts a compass in his pocket and goes east. And then he freaks out and he travels east, comes upon this English manor, and there's tons of people there and everybody knows him, but he has no idea who anybody is. Turns out he has to solve, there's going to be a murder for Evelyn at that night. And he's also trying to find this girl, Anna. Then a bunch of other things happen. There's a lot of characters in this. You're trying to figure out who is good and who is bad and who's on the team, but you're trying ultimately to solve this murder. And it was so fun. I really enjoyed it. There were a few things that I wish would have changed, like one of the characters. I wish we would have had a little bit more input, but I really overall liked it a lot. It was a good book club pick. The girl that chose the pick didn't end up liking it, and unfortunately she wasn't able to make the discussion, so no idea why she didn't like it, but I had a good time. I wasn't really trying to solve it either. I was just along for the ride. Then the next one was my Ellen Hildebrand pick for the summer, and that was Here's to Us. I ended up finding this in a free little library in Montana, so that was my Montana book. Anytime I travel somewhere, I buy a book about a sweatshirt instead in Montana, and then I found this free little library and it had this book in here, and so that worked out perfectly. So I still got a book on vacation. Ellen Hildebrand's books, this is my second one I've ever read. This is, okay, so there is this like famous chef and he passes away and he has 3 wives, well, divorced, ex-wives, whatever, and children with those wives. They have to all go to the house on Nantucket to talk about his will. Buck, I believe. Yeah. Buck is, the guy's name is Deacon. I believe it is Buck. Buck is his like best friend and agent, and so he's tasked with the responsibility of filling them all in on everything of Deacon's finances and the will and spreading of the ashes and all of that. So all three wives ends up showing up. Their kids are grown, except for one who is younger. They all show up too. And it's a character study. You're just following along as they grieve. And also, life doesn't pause for death, and so they're still dealing with all of their things that from their lives too. Looking at the relationships, I thought this was going to be more focused on the wives, but it does focus a lot on their children too. And even though they are adults, except for the one, they go through a lot of serious and adult-like things, and it's just figuring out what is important in life and just the impact you want to make. It was a good summary read. I thought it was going to be a little bit more focused on the wives, even though it was. There's just always a lot of characters I've heard in Ellen Hildebrand's books. But Nantucket, really, really great setting. I would love to go there, even though it's expensive, but it would be so much fun to take a little trip out there. That brings us to our last book. How exciting! And that is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This setting is very deceiving. What happens is Emma marries her high school sweetheart Jesse, and they move out to California, living their life, and they're super adventurous, love to travel, blah, blah, blah. And then Jesse goes on this trip, is not seen again. Everybody thinks he's dead. It was a helicopter crash. He was the only one that was not found. Emma grieves and then moves back to her life in her hometown back on the East Coast and runs into Sam, and Sam and her end up getting engaged. That's when Jesse calls to tell her he's back, all the things that he's been through, and now she is conflicted because she's like, am I still married to Jesse technically? Am I still going to go through the engagement with Sam? Different loves of your life, and not even like picking one, but picking who you want to be and who you are now and who you want to share that with. And I thought it was a really fascinating concept. From the beginning, there was a very clear choice to me as to who she should spend her life with. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was beautiful. However, I don't know when this one was published compared to her other ones. While the writing is beautiful, it seems a little bit... This writing seems different than her other works, and I don't remember the word for that, but just different. I enjoyed it, though. It was good. It was One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Well, here are the 4 physical books that I read this month, as well as that's the end of our monthly wrap up. My favorite of the month was obviously Tom Lake with that 5-star. Feel free to stick around and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other monthly wrap ups or any reading vlogs or TBRs or any other bookish content that we get up to on this channel, as well as like this video. And with that being said, respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thanks, bye!